She creates a movie. She recruits you guys. You are playing your roles without knowing. She's very evil. If she rob you or take your money or whatever, she don't care.
She's known to the authorities as having been a con artist in the past. She's known to the authorities as having multiple cases opened against her.
I personally think she should be locked away for the rest of her life.
I had a similar conversation with you before, 20 years ago. Except it wasn't nearly at the severity that it is now. Now it is just a big, fat con. In previous episodes, we uncovered not only that Morrison had allegedly committed fraud against scores of victims, but that several years ago, she had also impersonated an FBI officer allegedly conducting bogus investigations into robberies at major companies and earning millions in the process. She had done this, allegedly in collusion with now former officers at Sandton Police Station, even allegedly using the station as her own personal crime scene. From there, our investigations revealed that she allegedly abducted a 7-year-old child, supposedly under the auspices of the United States Department of Justice. But in reality, she had tried to pass the child off as her own daughter, keeping her for months in this house. Even after being arrested in July, as we will show you, the crime sprees continued. We're heading towards the Randburg Magistrates Court, where Tracy Morrison was arrested on July the 24th on a single charge of fraud at an upmarket hotel chain. She'd been arrested previously on April the 16th, but her case had been thrown out of court. This time, the case was admitted in court, and she was granted bail. The magistrate granted it. He did warn her, however, that if he saw her again on any other charges, she would go straight to jail without any chance of bail. But it seems that even the threat of being denied bail after her last arrest did not deter her. From the 30th of July, when she was granted bail, to the time she's due to make her next court appearance, which is September the 14th, Tracy carried on scamming at least 6 victims.
Tracy is very, very intelligent. She is gifted by the devil to lie. People steal different ways, but she steals with a mind.
Although there were about 8 existing charges against her since 1987, she had continued to operate with impunity.
I think she wanted people who were perhaps going through a little bit of a difficult time. She also tapped on people who she could easily mold, perhaps who were financially able to become a part of her web, but then also manipulate and break them down.
She lives this high life. She makes you see, this money, this how she's living and how amazing it is. What you don't realize is that's your money.
At the time of her July arrest, she was living at this house in the affluent suburb of Athelhurst. Since the early 2000s, she had allegedly used Sandton and surrounding suburbs as her personal film set and hunting ground. She believed she would never be caught because she was protected by her alleged accomplices at Sandton Police Station.
What I saw for me, it was she's got so much connection. She will give you contact of Ox people, you want any police.
To date, many of her most recent victims had been too frightened to lay charges. But all that was about to change. I have come to visit her former landlady, whose identity we are protecting because she still feels afraid of Morrison.
We had put an advert for our house in Atoll. We advertised it on Gumtree for rental. So she called my husband, and the way she spoke to him is like, no, they've known each other for very long. So then my husband was like, but I don't recognize this woman.
That was in May 2018.
She studied, she does the Google search very well on people. She studied too a lot about you. She knows a lot. I think she even go to check your perhaps your marital statute. She said she was American, and all of this, actually, even the trust and everything that she was talking about, it was American. She's been here working with the American embassies, and she has worked with the tourist people. She said all this time she was working for some tourism company apparently, but now she just realized that she's making other people rich. So that's why she had acquired a couple of houses to do the business herself.
All right, so let's unpack some of Morrison's lies. She isn't American, she's South African born and bred, although somehow she managed to get an American citizenship. She's also never worked with the US Embassy, although they do know about her because she has a criminal record in the United States.
And speaking of America, what's with impersonating an FBI agent?
That I have no idea.
And what about the fake American accent that you just dropped into recently?
She also doesn't own any property, but for years has been scamming landlords and housemates alike out of deposits and rentals, allegedly. Meanwhile, in addition to not paying her landlady the deposit or rental, Morrison had also coerced her into forming a partnership in another bogus business called My Gingerbread House.
She said, I've been looking, you are God sent, because I've been looking for a BE, a black person. She said she was flipping houses. So that flipping houses, I was so interested that hour got to convince my husband to let her go without paying the rent and the deposit.
She just told me that she's bought that house a few months back, and then she's going to stay with her children, but I didn't know where her children is.
Florence and her partner Justice live in Hillbrow with their 2 young children. She began working for Morrison at the house in Athelhurst several weeks before Morrison was arrested on July the 24th. She and her partner also became the alleged victims of Morrison's cruel financial scams.
She just called me, Florence, come here. I went to Tracy and then she said, Florence, do you want money? I said, Tracy, but how can you ask me that kind of a question, because everyone wants money? And then say, you know what, I'm doing a business. I'm buying chairs and lounge suit.
Right. The couple invested 14,000 rand in her fake business.
I never thought that I could be crooked that easy, particularly because Florence was working for her.
Sure.
I deposited the money into a bank account on the very same day, the little savings that we had.
Was it your entire life savings, Justice?
Hard earned.
I'm the one who asked my husband for the money.
Soon after, on July the 24th, Morrison was arrested on the charge of fraud laid by the prominent hotel chain.
I just received a WhatsApp in the morning. She told me that, Florence, yesterday I received a call from police station. They told me that I can come to police station to give them a statement about my tenants. Went there, they just put me behind bars.
Although she was granted 2,000 rand bail, Morrison supposedly couldn't afford it and was remanded to the Johannesburg Women's Prison, otherwise known as Sun City. Despite having allegedly been scammed, her landlady and housekeeper came to her aid.
That's when we started calling a mother, a sister. They all didn't want anything to do with her. We tried some of the phone calls that she had called previously. We could find in the phone. Nobody was willing to help her.
It was ultimately her housekeeper, Florence, who paid for Morrison's lawyer and her bail.
So I asked my husband, please can you do e-wallet for this lawyer so that they're going to pay it for Tracy. And then my husband transferred the 2.5.
Needless to say, Morrison never reimbursed Florence or Justice. Their subsequent WhatsApp exchanges illustrate Florence's increasing despair.
I'm very sad, I'm very angry, because I help her with all of my heart. Now I help her. She didn't appreciate that.
She will do just about anything to survive. She doesn't care.
We are supposed not even to help her. Supposed to let her rot in jail. Because if I didn't help her, even today, she will be still in there, in jail.
If you ask this Irish master whiskey distiller why sometimes whiskey is spelled with an E and sometimes without, he'd say,
Are you fair so good, look? Like the whole thing, they're a back and to get off in the whiskey without the E.
Yeah, didn't catch that. But if you asked us the difference, we'd tell you that every whiskey from around the world is spelled without the E, except for Irish and American whiskies.
Get a bottle of Chivas Regal 12-year-old blended Scotch whiskey plus 2 glasses for only $289.99 from Tops at Spa.
Our shops are being looted while they are attacking us. They set this club here on fire, and no firefighters came to fight them. If they want to fight drug dealers, they have ways to fight drug dealers, not police. The police is police job.
It is about the drugs on our streets. This problem has been here for more than 20 years.
The Great Bank Heist. It was brazen. It was quick.
One thought we're perhaps looking at figures much, much lower. Right. It's almost 2 billion.
It was shared amongst very greedy VBS executives and politically connected individuals. You are listed in that report. Did you steal money?
The narrative that they're trying to create is proven wrong by Advocate Mtao's report himself. He said in point 59 that he could not find a definitive wrongdoing, anything factually.
The misleading information which Daily Maverick has is deliberate. It's part of the whole propaganda machinery. You can challenge this wholly Van Veek to bring us the so-called evidence that I received 10 million. It's pure insanity.
Is there any prospect whatsoever of saving VBS?
We are not as confident as we were when we started the curatorship as to restoring the bank.
The bank is in a hopeless situation and it cannot be saved.
I needed to find out more about this alleged sociopath and the origins of her bizarre lies and cruel crimes. It was a disturbing but necessary journey of discovery that would take me from Joburg's affluent northern suburbs, where Morrison had perpetrated her criminal charades for decades, to the neighborhoods of the south, where she had grown up. She was raised in Robertsham, a middle-class suburb, with her mother, father, a younger sister and 2 brothers. Her parents later got divorced and her mother remarried.
She had a beautiful home. She was a happy-go-lucky child. But you could see that there was a little bit of nervousness.
I had been contacted by an old friend of Morrison's who was in her class.
It was in 1977. I went to Sir John. Tracy Bogart was in my class. Very small, skinny, very pretty girl. She didn't have a little friend. And she was bullied. The people called her TB, the terrible bullshitter.
From that age?
From that age, because she would come with these big stories about boating and yachts and this and that, but everything was bigger and better.
Tracy left school at the end of grade 10. She was pregnant. Jason Lee Morrison was born on September the 22nd, 1978. Beverly was his godmother.
He was such a beautiful child. He wasn't a child that cried or niggled or anything like that, okay? Tracy would walk around in linen suits. She was then a personnel consultant. Jason's nappies, you would touch them and they would just fall apart. I don't think they were rinsed out.
And this is where the story becomes even more bizarre and tragic.
She told me a story about her husband killed a son, and then just to get into her, but she said, no, but I'm okay with it because now I've got 3 beautiful kids.
She was a police officer, obviously, there in America. Her husband had shot and killed her son and had shot himself but had survived and was then taken to hospital and then was in prison. And she was a bit upset because he was going to be released soon.
In fact, Jason Lee's father and Morrison's ex-husband did not kill their son, is not in prison, and still lives in Johannesburg's southern suburbs. Beverly put me in touch with him, and he agreed to be interviewed on condition of anonymity.
Her parents were against us having any relationship.
Why?
I don't really know why. Maybe because I was a couple of years older than her. Also, I was a little bit wild at that time.
Their marriage didn't last a year.
We were young kids. We thought we could take it on and there wouldn't be responsibilities and all of this, but there were. When she came into contact with like friends and other people, and like if we went to a party or a function or something, then this other part of her would actually come out. She would want to be the limelight sort of thing.
Tracy wanted to get on with her life, and as I say, virtually every weekend Jason was with myself and my daughter's father.
She played my son against me like a pawn. If she was broke or whatever, okay, if you're not here by 7 o'clock tonight, you can't see him, but bring money or whatever and things like that. So it was a malicious game.
Tell me about that weekend.
Okay, I had Jason the weekend. The Saturday we went to visit a friend in Robertson, and he had a bit of a temperature, and he like slept the whole afternoon. I took him to my mother's place. She had one look at him. She said, "No, let's take him to the doctor." Saturday afternoon we took him to the Union Clinic in Alberton. The doctor looked at him and examined him and said, "No, his tonsils are inflamed, he's got tonsillitis." Got the medicine, took him home to my mom's place, stayed at my mom's place the Saturday night, the whole of Sunday. My mother said she'll stay home from work to look after him the Monday. I had to go to work the Monday. So I phoned Tracy and I said to her, "Can I bring him back this evening? He is on the mend, he's coming right." He was fine. We were talking in the bakkie, going, dropping him off. I tried the whole of the Tuesday to contact Tracy at a flat to get hold of her to find out how is he doing. The phone just rang and rang and rang. No answer. That was the Tuesday. There was a message for me to phone her mother. I phoned her mother, and her mother just turned around and said to me over the telephone, "Jason died an hour ago in hospital." Just like that.
Jason didn't reach his 3rd birthday. An autopsy was apparently conducted on the cause of death, but to this day, his father doesn't know the specific circumstances surrounding his death.
Could you not bring yourself to even ask those questions?
What I really thought is he was left alone in the flat. She went to work, she left him alone at the flat, and the tonsillitis got worse, or he took too much medicine or something like that, and maybe his lungs collapsed or something. I heard there's so many stories. He had cot death, and he had developed pneumonia, heart attack, but I shunned myself away from all those stories.
Jason was in her way. Tracy wanted to hit the high life.
Are you able to get closure?
I would say I came to a point in my life where I accepted it. He's gone, he's never coming back. The little bit of time that I did spend with him, I cherish those moments. I really, honestly to God, I do. But there is a part I haven't got closure to. I just want the truth.
The only way to pour the perfect beer, this professional barman would tell you, is into a glass tilted at exactly 45 degrees. Oh, bless you. Bless you, sir. Bless you again. Well, we'd say the perfect way to pour a beer is at this angle. straight into your mouth.
Buy 2 6-packs of Castlelite Handies for only $109.99 from Tops at Spar.
Buildings, submerged homes and devastated families.
Biggest earthquake in here.
Their homes and buildings moved like boats.
Big shake, and I ran as fast as I can.
These are the satellite images depicting the area before the disaster.
The ground is like a wave.
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
It is unbelievable. You can actually smell the stench of dead bodies around.
The National Hurricane Center said earlier on Tuesday that Michael was a Category 1 storm with sustained winds of up to 150 kilometers per hour. Residents were implored to get out of harm's way ahead of life-threatening waves, winds and rains. Flash flooding over the weekend caused 13 deaths in Central America after Michael formed off the coast of northern Honduras.
The Mountain Kingdom, the country which housed the liberation movement for many decades. Separated by this border,
that I don't like this border because it doesn't make sense to me.
But the two remain allies. Watch African Perspective on Wednesday as we discuss Lesotho.
The tragic and unexpected death of a child. That could be enough to trigger lifelong trauma.
She can't forgive herself. That way she has thrown herself in an unexisted world to survive.
It might even explain, to a certain extent, Morrison's seemingly excessive interest in children.
She wanted my daughter there every weekend, most of the time. It's just that the way she smokes, the way she can take out her clothes so easily, I couldn't allow that.
But it doesn't explain or justify the degree of her alleged compulsive criminality or her cruelty.
I think it was about 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. It was Mother's Day. She came to fetch me where I stayed. She had a little girl with her. Girl must have been about 5-6 years old, somewhere around there. And I said, "Now, Tracy, you know, is a friend of yours, friend me, you know? No, it's my daughter." So I said, "Oh, I didn't know you had me." No, when she was in America, she had this child. So I said, "Oh," and the child called her mommy and everything.
That was the little girl Morrison allegedly abducted in 2006 under the guise of the United States Department of Justice. I recently uncovered an email that was sent to her from an address in the United States. It points to an even more sinister intention that Morrison might have been harboring towards the little girl and her future. The sender clearly thinks that she is an FBI agent. He suggests that if it is too stressful for her to continue caring for the little girl whose therapy has failed, she should then send her to the United States. What evil plan was being hatched? The contents of this email must be further investigated. And as the net started closing in on Morrison, she displayed an increasingly dangerous side to her already unhinged psyche.
When I got there, I then saw there were some two bizarre guys. Those guys were scary just to see them. So the first reaction I had was to take pictures. So I didn't know that those guys saw that I took their pictures. The guys came out and they took my keys.
Pictures will be circulating now here in Santi. You are recording now.
Everything that is happening, I'm recording because you guys are threatening me. You took the keys of my car, you are threatening me. I've parked in front of my house and you are threatening me now.
Okay, sir. You are give her the keys.
We have traced the vehicle registration numbers and the police are investigating.
So those guys, they thought for me that they were guarding the house. They were guarding her and guarding the house, while actually she was using them for them to guard her against us.
That was the final straw for the already terrified landlady. She and her husband laid criminal charges against Morrison, and this time the police listened.
You know, I was even thinking she can go into a mental institution. I don't know what to say. She's not normal.
In addition to fraud and theft under false pretenses, Morrison had allegedly stolen the ID of another victim who she had tricked into paying 29,000 rand to set up the bogus company My Gingerbread House. She had then forged the alleged victim's signature on an invoice at a liquor store, buying thousands of rands worth of alcohol, which, of course, she never paid for.
Ideally, what should be happening is if you believe you've been prejudiced financially, somebody's misrepresented facts, that means you've been defrauded, you go to the police station and you make what's called your A1, it's your statement. You make your statement, the police should register a case, they should send you the CAS number. That docket should go to the detectives.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
In response to the special assignment exposés, a provincial task team headed by Midrand Police Station Commander Brigadier David Tsotsotso is now investigating Morrison's alleged impersonations of a police officer and the alleged collusion of former officers at Sandton Police Station. There is also an ongoing 2007 case against her at the Commercial Crimes Court. One of her alleged police accomplices is supposed to testify against Morrison, but has yet to do so.
He was there at court to give evidence against her. He came to court 2 or 3 times. We sat around, and I have phoned Ngubeni a couple of times, and he said, no, it's still open. We don't know what's going on.
I've come across a handful of these individuals, and it's bizarre because they believe the lie. And if you stop believing the lie that they're giving you, they then resent you for that, because they want you to believe it and they think that they're so convincing you should believe it. And when they found out, their entire personality changes.
Can you really rehabilitate these people? And in fact, are any of us clever enough to know that they've been rehabilitated, because they are so adept at manipulation and at playing a certain part if it's to their advantage.
After losing the trust of her family, friends, and her lavish lifestyle due to her lies, Morrison had nothing left to lose except her freedom. And that is also now gone.